Hi, everyone, and thank you for watching Module 2 Case Study Feedback. I thought I would provide your feedback through a video. Now, as an HR manager or an HR professional, it's imperative that you're familiar with all the different employment laws out there. Did you know that there are over 300 different employment laws that can affect your business? So it's important that you're familiar with all of them. Now, you don't have to know them inside and out, but you do have to be familiar with them. And if you do need resources, if something comes across your desk that you might not be familiar with, well, that's why the internet is such a great resource for HR professionals. It's also why your discussion board assignment discussed this. It had you think of a scenario in which you would need to find a resource, had you pick one of those resources and then describe a scenario and why in which you would have to look up that information to kind of give you the practice that a typical HR professional uses. I can tell you I've been in an HR role for many years and I use the internet a lot. The EEOC website was my best friend. Let's go ahead and take a look here at what you were to do. Now, again, I've probably mentioned this, that all of the case studies are trying to simulate a real life work situation. And so here you're an HR manager, you've been asked to create an employee handbook, and you want to make sure that you're following all the different laws and at least having policies for all those different laws. Some things to consider are the amount of employees. You have 20 full-time employees, and you want to make sure that those policies are being covered. Now, I say this, and it's important for you to know that there are 20 for this assignment, 20 full-time employees, because depending on the size of your organization will then depend on the different laws that apply. For instance, a lot of students get a few points taken off for including FMLA in this assignment. FMLA only applies to companies with 50 or more. Things to consider. So depending on your list, if you've got a few points off, it could be that you included a law that doesn't actually apply to this business. So the assignment asks you to do two things. First, list the laws that should be included, and then provide a brief explanation, and then a detailed plan. Let's go ahead and first take a look at the different laws. So this is my list. Your list does not have to be exactly the same, but I'm hoping that you have most of these laws or regulations included in that list. Let's go ahead and start at the top. For instance, the Equal Pay Act. Now, you don't have to have a policy in place specifically that talks about Equal Pay Act. You don't have to name the act, but you should have some sort of pay policy in your employee handbook that talks about how we pay everybody equally based on their job skill and not based on their gender, right? Then we talk about the Immigration Reform and Control Act. Fair Labor Standards Act should also be discussed, meaning things about overtime should be discussed, along with minimum wage that you pay all based on your pay policies. You pay everyone minimum, at least minimum wage, and that you pay time and a half for overtime. In addition, you should have some sort of policies in place about OSHA or occupational safety. The Employee Retirement Income Security Act talks about retirement. Uniform Service Employment and Reemployment Rights Act for our military members. And then last, Jury Systems Improvement Act. So all of these different acts that are bolded on my screen are acts that apply or laws that apply to any organization regardless of their size. The ones below, well, it tells you which size companies those laws apply to right next to it. So for instance, the ADA, Americans with Disability Act, that's 15 or more. The genetic information is 15 or more. Title VII is 15 or more. Pregnancy discrimination is 15 or more. And then age discrimination is 20 or more. And then COBRA is 20 or more employees. Now, just because an act requires 20 or more or 15 or more does not mean a company can have discrimination rampant. Let's say you have 10 employees. That does not mean they are allowed to discriminate. That's not what that means at all. There's actually other laws in place that protect discrimination, but Title VII of the Civil Rights Act kicks in at 15 or more, and then age discrimination kicks in at 20 or more. But there are other laws that prevent discrimination in the workplace. These are just a little bit more, these are the ones that are regulated by the EEOC, if that makes sense. So hopefully your list is similar. Again, it doesn't have to be exact. And if you are missing one or two, that's fine. The only thing I don't want to see is I don't want to see laws or regulations on your list that don't apply, such as FMLA. The second part of the assignment was then to provide a detailed plan on how you're going to create the handbook, ensuring that all of these different laws are covered, how you're going to recruit and select and compensate, train, for instance, based off these laws. Now, you don't have to write the employee handbook. That can actually take months, so sometimes years to create. Hopefully you did not do that, but I do want you to at least provide policies and protocols and your plan on how you would cover grievances. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off from there. As long as you have a pretty comprehensive list of all the laws that need to be in your handbook and then a detailed plan on how you'll accomplish creating the handbook, you should do fairly well on your assignment. Please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you so much.